This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by ShireSociety.com. Join up and move to New Hampshire for more freedom. Good news for parents. You can stop saving for your kids' college education. Safe in the knowledge that doing so might actually hurt them. Well, at least there is some evidence to that effect based on Keene State College's latest student code of conduct. I would consider it child abuse to send someone to a place that subjected them to something like this. Although it occurs in the age of COVID and is probably a lot worse at many other universities, we should discuss it. After all, we paid for it. Keene, for the uninitiated, is a town in New Hampshire, kind of rural, kind of low crime. I think my car insurance rates actually went up when I moved to Grafton, out in the real middle of nowhere. But anyway, first we'll get the COVID restrictions out of the way, or at least the ones I've discovered, and then we'll talk about some others that pre-existed and are even more disturbing. Quote, again, keene.edu, quote, KSC students are expected to practice the following. Wear a mask at all times on campus, except when in my residence hall room, off-campus living spaces, or eating while seated. Unquote. So that means that you're not allowed to eat standing up outside on campus. Now, did they just word it that way by accident? Is it purposeful fascism? Either way, it's inexcusable. And I didn't actually find much else in the way of... here's another one. Quote, avoid social gatherings on and off campus involving groups of more than 10 people. Unquote. All right, that's a little more mainstream. At least theoretically, it could stop someone from getting COVID, right? I'm pretty sure that having to sit down while you're eating is not going to help. But there were actually very few other COVID thingies listed in this particular list of do nots, thou shalt nots. Maybe I missed something. Maybe there's something else posted somewhere else. I didn't do an exhaustive search. But while I was looking at these COVID orders being barked, I found this. A detailing of how of the rules that come into effect when a student is forced to appear before a code of conduct hearing. Check this out. Quote, all hearing board proceedings are audio recorded by the Student Conduct Office, but recordings are not permitted by other parties. Unquote. Additionally, from my read of this the whole section, I read through the whole thing, I got the impression that apparently the media is not allowed to attend, even if the student wants them there. The most important thing, though, is that the student is denied their own First Amendment free press rights of self-defense. In America today, the First Amendment is actually a more effective means of self-defense generally than the Second Amendment is. It's certainly more effective against the government and against colleges. The idea of subjecting myself to something like this for 4 years of getting a degree, or maybe even more, every day wondering, is today they charged me with a crime and I'm not allowed to film the process? Or it wouldn't even be a crime, code of conduct violation, I guess. Check this out as well. Quote, the audio recordings are the property of the college and may not be duplicated without the permission of the Director of Student Conduct or a designee. Students are not permitted to make their own recordings of the hearings. Unquote. Students are allowed to request a copy of the hearing if there's an appeal, so they can look at it. But while they've got it, they're forbidden from duplicating it. They can't plug their USB thing into their computer and then hit the Control-C key. That's forbidden at your expense. And the recordings are destroyed 30 days after the deadline for filing an appeal has passed. So they destroy the evidence of whatever craziness, whatever batshit behavior those educrats engage in during the hearing. And you know it happens, right? Because you've seen it, because I filmed it there. I walked up to a government meeting on the Keene State College campus, not a student disciplinary hearing, but a public meeting of the city government, the city of Keene government, meeting with Keene State College officials on a regularly scheduled, it's a weekly or bi-weekly thing called the City College Commission, I believe. Sometimes they meet at Keene City Hall, sometimes they meet at the college. And you know what? One of those loser academics, when I, asked questions of people as they were going into the meeting, officials, she called security on me, had me interrogated by security. When I refused to answer security's questions, security called police, which in turn had me ejected from the grounds of the university. So I'm not just speculating when I say there's batshit behavior at this place. Just watch the video. I guess this would have been in early 2018. But as they say, you know what is worth doing by asking yourself, what am I forbidden from doing? If it's harmless. Switching topics. Sort of. Have you heard of David Leroux? I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. He's in Campton, New Hampshire, apparently. He has been leading demonstrations around the state against mask ordinances. He's become like a roving instigator. I love it. So he held a rally in Plymouth, I guess, around early July. Then there was another one in Keene on August 15th. The Keene Sentinel reported on it and said that scores of people attended, most not wearing masks. Now, I will admit that if I'd gone, I probably would have worn a mask. Doesn't hurt anybody else. It requires kids over the age of 9 to wear a mask. So what happens if a kid who's 11 is not wearing a mask? Do they charge the kid with a crime? Well, I was able to confront the mayor on this question, the Keene mayor, over the airwaves when he was hosting his talk show on Saturday morning, around August 20th. And he told me that what they're going to try to do is get businesses to enforce this instead of cops. They're going to try to avoid having cops do it. And I told him state-controlled capitalism is called fascism. By the way, actually, going back to the Keene State College issue, I forgot to mention this. I was also able to confront the president of Keene State College on the same radio station during a live broadcast, and I asked her about these rules forbidding kids from documenting their own disciplinary hearings. Of course, they're not kids; they're adults. Even if they don't want someone in there filming it, like the media should still be able to do it. These are adults we're talking about here. Anyway, I got cut off before she really could give much of a response. She was just starting a response when they cut me off, but they did let me ask the question, and she started with some platitude about how well we treasure our students' rights, and click. Before my interrogation started, I said, thank you for submitting to interrogation. She laughed nervously. But anyway, back to Leroux. Looks like he is running another mask event on August 29th at Portsmouth, protesting the mask ordinance there. I sent him an email thanking him for being active. You always want to make sure people who start something like this, they don't start feeling like they're out on a limb and no one's really supporting them or whatnot. I've called talk radio to announce his protests before they happen, so people have time to attend. And he sent me a message back saying, quote, "Dave, thank you for reaching out. I'm trying as best I can to figure it out. We have events on Saturday the 29th in Portsmouth in front of the North Church at 10 a.m., also rallying people to try and get to the town hall meeting on the 31st at 7 p.m. in Portsmouth. Also going to the Weirs rally Saturday afternoon, I think. Unquote. So that's the the Weirs Beach, I assume, is what he's talking about. It's probably something that takes place in the middle of Bike Week. I think it's Bike Week. Anyway, so that would be Saturday. That must be Saturday the roughly the 29th. Yeah, Saturday the 29th. Now, I hate to just parrot the union leader, but they did report something interesting, and good on them for drawing the spotlight to this. New Hampshire's apparently their highest paid superintendent, Metzler, I think it's Earl Metzler, is supposed to get a $183,000 payment on top of his highest paid status, as part of his settlement after he shook the school district down with a lawsuit. So he's resigned, but he's still getting paid, right? $183,000 for brainwashing your kids. So apparently he sued them over, he was saying that he was getting, quote, alleging he's owed more money for compensatory time. Unquote. Compensatory time. So the Union Leader article says, quote, Metzler had argued that he worked overtime and that the SAU paid him at a straight time rate instead of time and a half. Unquote. Well, I thought these people were supposed to be salaried or something. Well, I'll tell you what, the virus is spreading, though, because he's going to have a different position somewhere. Hampstead, looks like. They're going to pay him a measly $150,000 a year of your money. It seems like there was something else outrageous that he did in the past, but I can't remember the details. He was often a target of the Gerard at Large radio show back when they were on the air. Rich Gerard was a school board member off and on the Manchester School Board, and he ran a talk show for about 6 years. And it was really a good muckraking show from if you can handle a little bit of neoconservatism. It's really sad to have that gone and not have him watchdogging these people anymore. Yeah, so you're stuck with me and the union leader. But this is why you vote no. When anytime a school district wants you to approve some type of spending, I don't care what they say it's for, you vote no. I mean, now maybe if your yes vote is a yes to the smaller of two budgets or something like that, then maybe you vote yes. But you always vote however we can possibly keep money out of these parasites' pockets, because that's where it goes. This isn't for the kids. Elliot Axelman, a state rep candidate, has posted a message. I should say the libertyblock.com has posted this article, which I think that's Elliot Axelman's operation, so maybe he wrote this. But anyway, he's made this quote as his headline. Quote, Sununu wants COVID agents to enter property without warrants. Unquote. This is on August 15th, 2020. He continues, quote, they continue, quote, government agents in New Hampshire will no longer need to obtain warrants before entering a person's private property by force if they suspect COVID non-compliance, according to the emergency order issued by Governor Chris Sununu on Thursday. Unquote. So, he quotes Sununu as saying, quote, we're going to have our enforcement teams out there, unquote. But I don't know all the details, and I got an email complaining about Elliot. Someone didn't like him, liberty activist, who I trust. So, go learn more if you want. I don't know Elliot. He is active on the nhexit.com Facebook group, and I've appreciated his activity there. All of what I've seen so far about him I have liked, but maybe I'm missing something. Lori Rodier posted a reply to the Liberty Block article, and she says, quote, this is in part due to the traveling religious revival here in my town. held on 500 acres of private property on a private gated road. They entered the road to put down traffic counting strips, and my small town is crawling with state police now, unquote. She didn't say what town it was. Wouldn't it be great if everybody did such and such because we told them to? That's not how this works. When you pass a law against something, that's not what happens, right? People keep doing it. And then what changes is that now you have a bunch of people running around with sovereign immunity, occasionally shooting someone to death, and ruining everybody's lives, or a lot of people's lives, in the process of enforcement. Oh, this is even more off topic. I've been watching some Australian speeches lately, as I've been monitoring the growing crisis between Australia and China. And I've noticed something interesting. I think maybe I see this in Canadian speeches too. People oftentimes will, and this is New Hampshire related, stick with me here, people will often, especially government officials, they're starting to give a speech, and they will say, before we begin this meeting, I would like to acknowledge that we are standing on the traditional tribal grounds of the Wabanaki tribe, or something like that, the native peoples. They acknowledge where they are in history, and I think that's kind of neat, and I think I may start imitating that process. Didn't think I'd find something the government did that was worth imitating, but this is respectful, and I appreciate it. Who knows what real natives would think? Anyway, since I'm broadcasting today from Winchester, New Hampshire, it means that it's likely that I'm on the traditional grounds of the Pennacook people or the Abenaki people. I'm not sure which or either once dominated this land, but they certainly did dominate much of New Hampshire. Later on I will know more, and I will be able to tell you more. Abenaki, I can tell you, is still spoken, and you can even get audio files that will make it easy to learn. Unfortunately, the number of people who speak it is so small, and it's so hard to even know when you're around someone that you have an opportunity to speak it to, that it's probably not worth the time. I've only had one opportunity in my life that would have allowed me to speak it, as compared to 7 or 8 opportunities with Polish and dozens of opportunities with Russian, and it's just it's so much more useful to learn a few of those words. Anyway, the Pennacook language apparently is dead. Apparently no one knows how to speak it anymore. Sometimes that comes along with wiping people out. Freekeene.com is reporting this. Quote, given the pollsters regularly ignore liberty-minded candidates like libertarians, Free Keene hired polling firm RoboCent to conduct the only fairly written scientific poll of both Republican and undeclared voters thus far. We purchased a randomly selected list of landlines for actual New Hampshire voters. 25,000 Republicans and 25,000 undeclareds. In order to have been included in our phone list, the individuals must have voted at least once since 2016. Democrats were not polled as they cannot vote in the Republican primary. The poll consisted of 3 questions, the first being a question about which candidate the respondent is supporting for NH governor. Here is the exact copy as delivered over the phone poll. In the Republican primary for New Hampshire governor, there are 3 candidates. Which would you choose as your governor? Press 1 for Karen Testament, press 2 for Chris Sununu, or press 3 for nobody. 525 undeclared voters took the poll, which, by the way, is a larger sample size than the unfair poll by St. Anselm of the 525 respondents. 132 of them, 25%, chose nobody. 5%, chose Karen Testerman, and 369, 70%, selected incumbent Chris Sununu. Later the article goes on to say, oh, by the way, I should tell you who Nobody is. Nobody is actually the name of a person. The former Rich Paul in Keene, a drug rights activist and civil disobedience guy who was once seized by authorities and dumped in jail for 9 months for selling marijuana. They accused him of selling worse things, supposedly worse things. He was also pressured to become an informant and instead publicized the fact that he was being pressured to become an informant and, to the best of our knowledge, refused to become an informant. So that's 25% versus 70%. That's pretty good. You know, when the primary is over and the numbers are probably lower than that, we will have a chance to speculate on how little actual integrity there is in the voting system. They're also hosting a debate, and all the candidates have been invited, but of course the governor is refusing to attend. Free Keene. Or I guess it's LRN.FM will be hosting the thing on their DLive channel. But it's nice that Sununu is actually getting two serious, serious if lighthearted in one case, real Republican primary challengers. Testerman is not a small political force in New Hampshire. She's important. And so is Rich Paul. He's so dedicated to this that he changed his name to Nobody because he wants no one to be in charge. And it does probably boost his vote count. Remember, if you see a Ridley-o, a video produced by me, that's over 20 minutes long, it's almost certainly one of these podcasts. It's for you to listen to. Don't get mad because there's no video. I'm trying to keep you up to date on the things I don't have video of. You're not supposed to sit in front of the laptop and listen. This is for listening while you're eating or downloading into your MP3 player. 4K video downloader makes it easy. At least on YouTube and BitChute. Ridley out.
If you love liberty, declare your independence by signing the Shire Society Declaration at shiresociety.com.